Release the Kraken!
Greetings, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios, and today we're going to be doing the basic shapes. Now, this is a beginner tutorial, and I'm really just redoing the basic shapes tutorial from way back when we did it in 2016. We're now in 2022, and I want to go ahead and just redo it to make sure it's nice and clean. That being said, you do need the shapes image, so if you look in the link down in the description, or you head over to Canvas if you're one of my students, you can log in and grab the shapes file here. And you can still see it says Maya 2018, but we are in Maya 2022. Okay, so I'm going to jump back in. And before we start modeling, we want to make sure that our grid is set up for working with the correct units for Unity or Unreal. One Maya grid unit is 1 centimeter. In Unreal, it is also 1 centimeter, but in Unity, it is set up to 1 meter as the default size. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this up for our display here. So Display, Grid, and then go to the Options. We want to go ahead and set this up. Let's do 500 units for the total grid size. And we're going to have a major grid line every 100 centimeters, which is going to be 1 meter. And then subdivision lines every 10. And you can adjust your colors here. I do like having my central axis bright and easy to see. And you can just drag to do that. Okay. And then I'm going to have my my grid lines and my numbers here. This is the major grid lines. I'm going to go ahead and just make that a little bit brighter. And then my subdivision lines, those are my smaller ones here. Those are going to be this darker gray. But you can color code these any way you like. Just make it so they're easy to find. And I'll hit apply. And now we have this. And we can see our grid really nicely. I know exactly where the middle is. So now each one of these little lines is 10 centimeters. But each one of these big white lines, so one white line to one white line, or one white to red here, this is 1 meter. So it's easy for us to figure out what scale we're working in. Let's go ahead and add in a plane. So I'll go ahead and hit the plane icon. And there's my plane. It's kind of tiny. I can't really see it. But I'm going to go into my channel box right here and adjust it. If you don't see your channel box, look for the tab right here that says channel box, or this little icon right here. That way you can get into there. You may be in attributes. So if you see the attributes, you're in the wrong window. You want to be in channel box. Okay. And then we're looking for our poly inputs right here. So inputs and then polyplane 1. And then we have our width and our height. So we're going to make this pretty big. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab these two. So our height and our width here. And I'll make this 100, which is going to be 1 meter. Okay. And then I'm going to take the subdivision height and width. I'll set that to 1. That way it's easy to see what we're working on. So I hit that. And you can see we have one clean plane right here. Awesome. Next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this plane is not in our way, because as we're working, we don't want the shapes that we're going to build to be overlapping the image that we're using as our reference, which is going to be here. So I'm going to go up to my translate Y. I'm going to move it down 1 unit. You can go as far down as you like, but 1 unit should be fine. So I'm going to do -1. And that is just off the grid here, just kind of floating below that. All right. Now let's go ahead and add on our texture. So I'm going to go up to rendering, open that up, and I'm going to look for the Lambert. That's this guy in the middle with no shine. Okay, so this is going to be our Lambert material. Go ahead and hit that. And when it pops up, look for Lambert 2. If you have Lambert 1, you haven't done it right. So make sure you get your next Lambert on there. I'm going to go ahead and change the name of that. I'll call that Shapes, and hit Enter. And then I'll go down to my color, go over to the checker box, and we should get a pop-up. If you get an error, if down here flag's red, close it. Make sure your object is selected and you are in object mode. You'll know this with the green outline. Okay, and then you'll have to grab that and then try again. Then go to File, and then it'll drop, go to Folder, and you want to find your image. Now mine is on the desktop, so I'm going to go to my desktop here, and I'm going to come down to my Shapes image. There it is. I would open. And then to see my color, I have to press 6, so that turns my color on. And there we go. There's my shapes. Yay! Let's go back to our channel box, select our shapes, and I want to make sure that this cannot be touched accidentally. So I'm going to go down to Layers, go ahead and Create Layer from Selected. Make sure your object is selected. Create Layer from Selected, and if you press the little V that's right here, it should blink on and off. Awesome. Now that we know that this is working, we want to set this so we can't grab it accidentally. So if we go over to the third box, we're going to click once for T, that's a template. Click one more for R, that means reference. And if I click out in my screen, now I can't grab it. Okay? And that's good, because we don't want to accidentally grab our object as we're trying to do our shapes. All right, so now we are ready to start shaping things. Go ahead and go to your 4 view and tap space. Hover your mouse over the top view, go to top. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and you can see that we're all gray again. I'm going to press 6 to bring the color back, and there we are. Fancy. Now, if you like the grid, you're welcome to keep it. I'm going to turn my grid off so it's easier for me to see. So I'm going to come up to the little grid icon right here, and go ahead and just click it. It's going to turn the grid off. You can also do that inside of display. So you hit display and you hit the check. That'll also turn grid off. The first shape is going to be pretty easy. This is just a triangle. I'm going to jump over to our Poly Modeling tab, and I'm going to come down to another plane. Go ahead and hit that. We're going to make a plane. The first thing I want to do with this plane is I want to adjust its size. I'm going to go ahead and just make this, let's say 25. That's a good size. I can see that pretty easy. And then for these subdivisions, width and height, I want to remove all these subdivisions, all these little slices. So I'm going to change these, and I'll go down to 1. And now I have a clean image. I'm going to press W, bring up my Move tool, and then I'm going to go ahead and just drag the middle and drag it over. Make sure you're in a top view. If you're in a perspective view when you do this, it may shift below your stuff, and you don't want that to happen. Okay? So make sure we're in a top view. And now I have my shape here, but I can't see what's behind it. So what we're going to do is go to the material attributes. You can get there by pressing Control-A. That opens the attributes up. And we want to make sure that we go over to our Lambert 1. And right here you can see this is Lambert 1. I can't change the name, but I will change the transparency. So down here I'm going to drag the transparency up just enough so I can see it. Don't go all the way up, because then your object will disappear. Okay? You want to just go up just enough so that you can see what you're doing, but your object is still there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And let's go into vertex mode. Right click, go to vertex, or you can press F9. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a vertex. Now we have a triangle, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, but we have a quad, which means we have 4. Let's go ahead and press delete. And now we have a triangle. I'll grab one vertex, grab my Move tool by hitting W, and now I'm going to shape this to match. So shape it and shape it. Awesome. So now we have our first shape. We're going to do that again for the next shape. So let's go ahead and add a plane. Go to our channel box. Again, you can hit that tab here, or you can hit the channel box tab. Go into our poly plane. We're going to set this to 25. And we're going to go ahead and change the subdivisions width and height to 1 and 1. So now we have the next shape. I'm going to use W to move it. And it's a matter of shaping it. So go into vertex mode. Now grab the vertex that I want, and I'll move that down. And I'll grab this one, I'll move that one down. You can also move more than one vertex at a time. So if I drag select, so I click and drag the select, I can grab 2 at a time and move them. And I'll just clean this one, clean that one up a little. Hey, that's pretty good. A little off over here. Yay, there's my shape. 1, 2. Now we have our next shape right here in the middle. So I'll go ahead and grab this one. And I'll adjust it, do 25. And I'll do my width and height subdivisions. I'll set that to 1. And then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to do my shape. So go into vertex mode. Again, you can do that by pressing F9. So here's 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, and 4 points. But, uh-oh, I have a point missing. Pretty easy. All we're going to do is cut in a new line. So I'm going to come over to our multi-cut tool. It looks like a little knife with some dots on it. So this little guy, it's called multi-cut. You can also get there by going to Mesh Tools and then come down to the multi-cut tool. I'll grab that, and now I have a knife. With my knife, you can see if I hover my mouse over, I can select an edge. Okay? All I want to do is click right here in the middle of the edge, and it lets me drop in a point. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, and now that point is permanent. I'm going to press Q to turn my tool off, and now I'm going to hit W to bring my move tool back, and I will grab that point, and there we are. But now we have an n-gon, which is any polygon that has 5 or more points. N-gons cause problems with rendering and animation, so we want to make sure that we avoid n-gons whenever we can. So triangles are okay sometimes. Quads are awesome. N-gons are no. We don't ever want to have an n-gon. So I'm going to go back up to my multi-cut tool. Go ahead and turn that back on. And now I want to slice this somewhere. You can split this into 2 quads by going right down the middle, or you can split it into 1 quad and 1 triangle. Okay? But you can't have an n-gon. So I'll let you decide which one to do, but the simplest is to just split it from 1 quad to 1 triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and click this point here. I'm going to come all the way across, click this point here, and then I'm going to hit right click, and now I have 1 quad, so 1, 2, 3, 4 points, and then I have a new polygon here, 1, 2, 3 for a triangle. So this is perfectly legal. I'm going to go back to object mode, and then I'm going to go down to our next shape. So this is going to be our little leaf. Let's go ahead and make a plane, and I'll hit W to move it, and let's go ahead and adjust the size. I'll make this 25, and let's adjust our subdivisions to make this 1 and 1, and we're going to shape this. So I'm going to zoom in, go into vertex mode. I'll take this back vertex, I'll line it up with the bottom, and then I'll grab this one, I'm going to line that up with the bottom. But now where do I put my other points? Well, you want to work in a way where you can kind of plan how these other pieces are going to come out. So since I know that I have to work in quads or triangles, I want to start thinking in quads or triangles. Quads are better, so I'm going to try to go for quads first, and then triangles if I have to. So I'm going to go ahead and take this point and make a quad. So if I look at this shape, where is my first obvious quad? Well, my first obvious quad is right here, right? 1.2.3.4. So I'll grab this one, and then I'll go ahead and grab this one. And there is my first quad. Yay! We're going to go ahead and look at a new tool called extrusion. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click, go to edge mode here, and I'm going to select this edge right here on the end. Okay? What extrusion does is it allows us to pull a piece out of a current piece. So I'm going to go ahead and with this edge selected, I'm going to go to extrude, which is this little plane with a tower. You can also get there by going to edit mesh and then extrude. Both of these do the same thing. Go ahead and hit that. It's going to calculate, and then it's going to give us an arrow to pull. Now I'm not going to pull any of these arrows. I'm going to press W. I'm going to get this widget instead. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Okay. And now I will adjust with vertices. So go to vertex mode, and I will zoom in a little bit. Let's put this one here. This one will go here. And now I have my shape. I'll just clean that one up. Right? So I have this one, and this one. How do I get them? Well, we can do the same thing. We can extrude from here, here, and here. I'm going to go ahead and get my edge mode again. And we can actually extrude more than one side at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and hold Shift, grab an edge, hold Shift, grab the next one, hold Shift, grab the next one. So I need to extrude from here, here, and here. I'll hit the extrude button, and then this time I will pull the arrow, and I will pull those out, and you can see we get some new shapes. However, these corners are connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to keep faces together on our little extrusion window. I'm going to go ahead and click that and say no. So now I have 3 separate faces. Awesome. So now to go back to vertex mode. And I can start shaping this. So this is this one. W brings up my move tool. I'll move it into position. But what about this extra point? All I got to do is press delete. That one's clean. Grab this one. Awesome. This one's extra. Press delete. That one's clean. I'll grab this point. Let's go ahead and move it. And I'll grab this one back here. Delete. And that one's clean. Look, we have a perfect leaf. Amazing. Lastly, we have our Z shape. Let's go ahead and grab our plane. I'll move the plane over. Let's go to our polygon inputs over here. Again, we'll do 25, and then we'll set this down. However, we can cheat a little bit because this comes with some slices, right? We just got to figure out how many slices we're going to need. We can do this by kind of counting in our head how many quads are visible. This part here is 1 quad. This part here would be 2 quads. And then this little part of the Z, that's our 3rd quad. So we know we need at least 3 little boxes on here, right? And we want them to be stacked, right? How is this? 1 quad, 2 quads, 3 quads. So we want them to be stacked vertically. So I'm going to come down, and I'm going to adjust the height. I'll set this as 3, because the height goes up and down. Okay, so that gives us 3 slices. 1 slice, 2 slice, 3 slices. And then my width is horizontal. I want that to be 1 slice. There we go. And now I have enough points to make my Z. So let's go ahead and put it in position. And we'll go to vertex. And let's go ahead and readjust some of these points. Now, the front of the Z is flat. So I'm going to take this point here, move it this way. I'm going to take this point here, I'll move that one to the back. This point up here, this one has to go to the front, so I'll move that here. And I'll take this point to the back. See what I did? I just took that top piece and I more or less moved it and bent it over. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing down here. So I'll start with the bottom because it's going to be easiest. So let's take this one. This is pretty easy. I'll move this one here. Again, we need this flat edge to actually be over here because the rest of it is sort of connected in the middle. So this one's coming over here. Good. This one is going to come down here. And then our last point over here, that one is going to go right there. It's like a puzzle. But look, we have a perfect Z. Now if I zoom out, let's go to object mode. And then I want to adjust my transparency. So I'll do Control A. Make sure I go to my Lambert. This is Lambert 1. And remember that I can't change the default name, but I am allowed to change some of the properties here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the transparency. I'll set that back to 0. And now I have all of my shapes. Now for those of you who are in my class, make sure you screenshot this to me. Those of you who are at home enjoying the video, hopefully this is helping you get the idea of how to move vertices around and make shapes. And I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, we're at 1,400 subscribers. Woo! If you have any suggestions for future videos, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And if you want to keep up with me on Twitter, it's BruceRF1. That's also in the description. And if you want to support the channel, make it easier for me to make content for you, check out some of my merch or one of my books. But yeah, all that, again, is in the description. Check it out, and I shall see you next time.